Hello, my name is Barb Horn, and welcome to a deep dive reflection on 2023 with astrological and cosmic energies that are also moving in and apply to 2024. I am Barb Horn. I welcome you to this. It's a series of videos and a Word document that has a series of inquiries for you to help you reflect on how you have been learning and growing through the cosmos in the past year. I'll apologize up front for any sounds of construction and noise. I have been trying to do this for myself and you for the last 3 months, and I've had one hurdle after another. And today is my last day to get this for myself and to you, and we happen to have construction going on. I have learned to accept that that's the least of my first world problems, and this is still worth doing. Even though it's great to be working with these energies while they're actually happening, it's also very powerful to reflect back on them. And many of these alignments I'm covering here are still happening in 2024. This series, this video here is to give you an overview of astrology, how it really works, and kind of a foundation that will help you process not only what's happening in the rest of these videos and questions, but in general for your future. So I thank you for checking me out and doing this work and showing up as the amazing soul that you are. So astrology is really what we live. Astronomy is the science of how planets are out there, but astrology is much richer. It's what we live. And we are a complex, vast, overlapping set of grids and matrices that are all part of co-creation. We, the plants, the animals, the planets, we are co-creators of our lives and the collective. Astrology then shows us, it's an amazing modality, this co-creative grid of life that we are in and part of, and how power flows through that grid and how your soul contract, your agreements that you came here this lifetime and your purpose interacts with that grid of life and co-creation. Before any of us were born, there were already co-creative cycles and patterns and forces and karma already in motion, and we infused with them by design when we incarnated. That is, we were born into a time when a series of things were already in motion, like capitalism, like toxic patriarchy. And that's the hand we were dealt when we incarnated. We didn't start it. We're not going to necessarily finish it. It was here. It's out of our control, and that's what I'm going to call fate. Astrology then, as the planets move around the cosmic and the solar system and through the zodiac signs, create cycles, and they have archetypal patterns and conversations that we can follow and track, that we can also then harness, awaken to, and empower the potentiality of the particular cycle, like Saturn's in Pisces. How do we awaken and harness and empower and have a conversation with the potential of that cycle that is energetically having a call and response conversation with us, creating synchronicities for us to learn, to grow, and experience what our souls came here to do, playing with the hand of fate, but changing what we need to change to move through to our destiny. I believe that our souls came here to do something they've never experienced before, and that is us moving and risking and growing on that path in these bodies on this earth experiment. So some astrologers will talk about being the language of being a victim of astrology, like when Mercury's in retrograde, it's doing something to us. We are not victims of the cycles and the energies in the cosmos, but we can map our lives to those cycles and those archetypal patterns and those synchronicities because we are all one. And then we can work with those energies and be awakened to them. They're not happening to us, they're happening for us and with us. And astrology also is an excellent modality to map out our own soul's life blueprint. our own soul's purpose, and our own classrooms that we're here to work. Mine isn't the same as yours. It's not in a predictable fortune-telling way, but in a soul's sacred, almost a sacred way, because we always have free will and how to interact and the choices we make with these cycles and these grids, and our personal overlaps with the collective and vice versa. So now I'm just going to take you through a series of overviews of a foundation so that you can review your life and have a little more background. And if you already know this information, you can just keep skipping. It really does help to have your own birth chart. You can get a free natal birth chart. That is, your natal birth chart is a picture of the cosmos, where the planets are in what zodiac signs at the exact moment you were born. So even identical twins have a little different natal birth chart. When you go to any one of these sites or a site you already have or look at your own chart, you will need your full name, the date and time of your birth, not the data, the date and time of your birth, and the town and location of your birth. If you do not know your date and time, you can intuit. Sorry, you know your date, but if you don't know the time, you can use your intuition to use your time. If you have this, it'll be even deeper and more personal as you go through these worksheets and videos. So of course, planets rotate around the sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, these are planets, and they rotate around the sun, and they're always illustrated as if they have this circular rotation, but they really don't. It's not circular at all. So they take their own time to move around the sun, and as they do a complete cycle, they will have traveled through each and every one of the zodiac signs. Planets that are closer to the sun are called personal planets. So that would be Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Personal meaning that when Earth crosses and transits over their rotation, they're working us at a personal level. It's our personal soul contract level that they're working us, versus planets that are further out, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and planets and dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt are called transpersonal planets. And those planets are working our collective consciousness. They're working our culture, our society. They're working the collective energies. So they're not personal. However, of course, you know that any change, anything that's happening out there does affect you personally. And so that's where Jupiter and Saturn come in, where they're called the social planets, because a side of them faces the personal and a side of them faces the transpersonal. And these are the planets that help us connect the inner to the outer, the below and the above, the personal and the collective, and vice versa. So we always want to know what Jupiter is doing and where Saturn is to help us show up for our soul contract and our lives. I have another. So again, the rotation of these are often displayed as circular, but they're really not. They're actually quite complex. So as Earth and our moon are rotating around the sun and all these other planets are, we will transect their particular rotation. And that means their energies are working and learning us. Now, when a planet gets the furthest away from us, it can look like it's stopped. And when it's not really stopped, it's just the furthest away, it looks like it's changing directions. We call that a retrograde. And when a planet is retrograde, its energies are actually concentrated in available to us to help us transform and grow during that cycle. And when a planet's retrograde and we transit it, it will bring up via the energy of that planet and the sign that it's retrograde in, something in our unconscious that is ready to be conscious and often healed, but certainly addressed and lived. So all planets have an archetypal energy. This is another illustration of the personal, the outer solar system, and the trans-Neptunian out there. And these planets that are in the Kuiper belts are now these dwarf planets, these asteroids are much more available to us as we have evolved in a very positive way, actually. That's for another class, though. Here's another illustration of the sun and how the planets move around it in the Kuiper belt, in the personal to the transpersonal. And there's even all of these planets, as they travel through the sky, are traveling through the stars or the zodiac constellations, things like Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. You can research and Google these particular dwarf planets because, again, their energies are coming online, meaning we have vibrated and evolved to a higher vibration that we can actually embody some of the energies of these now dwarf planets. So to understand the cosmos and how it's working and learning us, there's three here basic foundational components. There's the planets, who are like the actors, and they then act when they are in a particular zodiac sign. They have a conversation with that zodiac sign. So Jupiter might be in Mars. We're going to talk about Jupiter in Taurus, and it will have a conversation with Taurus and act out for us. Like like Jupiter's about expansion and higher philosophy. And when it's in Taurus, it's going to have a conversation with Taurus and ask us to expand and think higher about our values, about our relationship to money and self-worth. Those latter three things are all Taurus, the realm of Taurus. So the planets are the actors. They have a conversation and they are acting out the energies of the zodiac signs. And each one of you in your own birth chart has every single zodiac sign in your birth chart. And depending on where, say, Jupiter is in your birth chart, that's the stage. That's where you can hone in for your own life, where a particular cycle or pattern is acting out in your own birth chart, your own soul contract. So there's the planets. Some people confuse the planets with the zodiac signs. And they all have a symbol, and that symbol will show up on your birth chart. And then there are the zodiac signs, which also have Greek mythology symbols. And as the planets move through the cosmos and through all the zodiac signs, there's an amazing cycle that happens. It's all progressive. We start the new year, the astrological new year, with Aries. And then we go to Taurus, Gemini, and they all have different qualities, elemental qualities like fire, earth, water. They also have change force qualities. Some are mutable signs, some are fixed signs, some are, I'm having a brain fart. There's a quality to how they do change, and it changes. They're masculine and feminine planets. It changes throughout the whole year. So as we're moving, Earth is moving through the sky, we're getting a variety of energies that are available to work and learn us. So how do these relate to your birth chart? This is called the natal birth chart. This is a generic birth chart that fits everybody. And the birth charts always start at 9 o'clock with the first house and go counterclockwise through 11 and 12 houses of our personal development. So each of these houses, the first house, the second house, are a part of our own development, part of our own age, growth, and development. All the houses from 1 to 6 tend to work on the personal level. And as you grow your ego and you get a self-worth and you know how to communicate and you have your home and you get relationships and a daily routine, you bring that to the external world, which is the 7th through the 12th house, which is how you have relationships, your career, how you grow, how you think and learn, your purpose, how you evolve and what you give, and then how you go off into the mystical and transition to the next life, the 12th house. This applies to everybody. This is how astrology creates the blueprint of your own personal soul contract. This is another display of those 12 houses with the inner circle showing you the 12 houses counterclockwise again. The next layer of the circle is the planets, and the next circle out are the zodiac signs. And the outer circles again show you the qualities or the area of life, the stage. The first house is always the ego, the self, the personality, your identity. The qualities of that house for everybody are ruled by the qualities of Aries. Aries is about leadership. Who are you as a leader? Well, every zodiac sign is ruled by a planet. And that's what you're seeing here. And this is true for everybody. Like, this is what is the foundation of a birth chart. The second house, the qualities of the second house is where your values are, your relationship with money is ruled by the energies of Taurus, and then the planet that rules Taurus. The third house is communication and siblings, and it's ruled by Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. The fourth house is ruled by, fifth house is ruled by, the fourth house is ruled by Cancer, and the sun rules Cancer. So this is for everybody. So everybody has the same qualities of the first house, second house, third house. In other words, everybody's first house is the self, and the qualities of the self that create that stage are ruled by Aries and the planet that rules Aries. Now, everybody has their own personal birth chart that's laid on top of this, because not everybody is born, their rising sign is not Aries. So here's an example of a personal birth chart that might look somewhat like yours. The zodiac signs are always on the outside. The first house is always at 9 o'clock, and you rotate counterclockwise. And then where the planets were when you were born will show up on the inner circle. And the relationship to each other, the squares and the triangles and the quincunxes, are all the colored lines in between. In this birth chart, the rising sign and the sign in the first house for this person is Leo. And then the second house is Virgo, and the third house is Libra, and then Scorpio, and so forth. It always follows the zodiac calendar year once you know the first house and the rising sign. If you were to look at this chart, you could see that Jupiter is in the 9th house. It looks like the number 4. The moon for this person is in the 12th house. It's the little moon sign that's ruled by Cancer. And so this is how you are going to find planets and zodiac signs and houses for your chart. If you sign up for my Saturn and Pisces series, we will go through this in a little more detail, focusing on where Saturn is personally in your chart, how it's related to your life purpose, and your own soul's contracts, personal Saturn dictates for this lifetime, what Saturn is working you over and over in this lifetime. So both the personalities of planets and zodiac signs can express themselves in the shadow or the light. So in a positive, affirming way, or in a dark, shadow, unconscious way. And these patterns of expression, like Jupiter is expansion and higher thinking and higher learning for everybody. How that is expressed will depend, like in this example, it would be expressed specifically through the characteristics of the 9th house and the zodiac sign here in the 9th house, because that's where Jupiter is for this person. Okay, so now let's step back a little bit and talk about how astrology is this blueprint for this co-creation grid of life and how it works, these cycles, these metacycles. So as all these planets, you know, our galaxy is amongst the millions of galaxies, and within our galaxy, these planets are rotating through their own stars and signs, and then there's you, the individual, and all the other life forces and individuals on the planet. So astrology is full of these meta, macro, and micro cycles of time and patterns, with all these planets moving amongst each other. And so while we'll talk about Mercury's retrograde 3 times a year, it's always in context with these larger metacycles. What do I mean by metacycles? I'm talking about years, geologic time that's well beyond any one of our normal average lifespans. So it's helpful to understand these metacycles that everything else is in service of. So the sun will position itself behind a particular zodiac sign, and it will position itself there, and it takes 25,000 years on average for the sun to move through each of the 12 zodiac signs. And it sets up behind a zodiac sign every 2,150 years and then moves to the next zodiac sign and the next zodiac sign. So if you take 12 times 2150, you get 25,000 years basically. And that is an age or an era. For reasons it doesn't matter for this call, it moves backwards in the zodiac signs. So while we're going from Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer, it moves backwards. So we just left the age of Pisces, and what's before Pisces is Aquarius. So we're going to move from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Before Pisces is Aries. So before the 2000, roughly 2,000 years before Christ to AD 1 was the age of Aries. Then we started a new 2,000-year cycle, which is AD 1 to the year 20,000, which is the age of Pisces. And now we're in the age of Aquarius. So this is all rough because this is not like at 12 o'clock on some day we change an age. It's a span of time, 50, 100 years. It's a bandwidth, kind of like the equator is a bandwidth. It's a bandwidth in the cosmos that we're traveling through. And as we travel through this, what is really, really important is that when we're in an age, an era like this, the dominant expressions, the dominant patterns, the dominant actions, the dominant things in motion, like patriarchy, like capitalism, that drive our structures and systems that make, in our values, that make it real personal. And the qualities are all going to be of that zodiac sign. So for 2000 BC to AD 1, it was the qualities and expressions of Aries in the shadow and the light. For the last 2,000 years, it was that of Pisces. And now in the future, it's that of Aquarius, which is why people say we're in different times. You could have done things in 1960, like the Civil Rights Movement, that was a seed that cracked things open. But the soil that the seed was planted in was not really ready for everything that had to offer. But it is different now when that seed's planted in the soil of the age of Aquarius, as we are dissolving the dominant way of being, the patterns that drive our structures and our systems and the values and the qualities of the age of Pisces to birth the same systems and what have you with the qualities of Aquarius. So dominant doesn't mean that it's the only thing expressed and present, but it's the dominant one. All of the others, Aries, Pisces, everything else is still there. It's just not going to be dominant in terms of driving our values, our structures, and our systems. So we are in this metacycle of changing actual ages and eras, not just a 2,150 year cycle, but also we just completed an entire rotation of 25,000 year cycle because Pisces is at the end of the zodiac signs. It's the last one. Aries is the beginning. And so now we're starting that. It's a lot of beginnings, which makes it such an amazing time. So we would be experiencing the dissolution of all of those structures and systems of Pisces while we're birthing, and they're already there, they're just not dominant, birthing systems and so forth and values that align with the qualities of Aquarius. And in a nutshell, just a one-sentence nutshell, What are the qualities of the age of Aquarius that we're being pressured to wake up to and live now? It's simple, because Aquarius, again, zodiac signs have archetypal patterns. In a nutshell, the age of Aquarius or Aquarian energies wants us to all live as the one consciousness, the interconnected beings that we are. That everything that here is here, gets to be here, and matters. Maybe not equally, but it all matters. And so as we're moving into living as one consciousness, it's always been true. It's just now higher in vibration and higher in our consciousness that we really are all connected. Everything that's here has a value. We are going to experience things like climate change, financial disasters, political polarity, environmental crises to show us where we're not living as one, where we're not acting and behaving as we're all connected, that our individual choices actually do affect all. And we didn't achieve that, for example, during COVID-19. So I call all of these things, pandemics, climate change, financial crises, wars, are all pressures to show us where we're not living that, and we can now vibrate higher. That's what all this other work is, to bring a different energy to create something different. In other words, not repeat. And none of this is about punishing us. It's showing us where we are where our coordinates are on this evolutionary path. What do we need to bring online? How do we act? What do we need to activate in terms of a new way of being and vibrating and perceiving and thinking and connecting to be this effective co-creative force so that we don't repeat and stay in an age? See, the cosmos is on this evolutionary path, whether Earth is here or not, whether you and I are here or not, like it's in motion. Just like, capitalism and whatever was in motion when you were born. It's happening whether you're here or not, but you incarnated this lifetime, I believe, to be part of this very shift. And those that aren't, or their soul's contract was not part of being in this shift, many of them are transitioning right now. So this is a huge meta cycle that's happening, that everything else we talk about is underneath of that. So here are a flavor of the other meta cycles that are happening that are beyond our lifetime. So there's the age of Pisces to Aquarius. Eris is a dwarf planet, so it's way out there beyond Pluto in the transpersonal, impersonal evolution of our collective. It is in Aries, and Aries is about leadership and moving forward. And it went into there in 1926, even though we were not collectively vibrating to receive its energies, and it will be in there until 2048, probably past my lifetime, but not some of you. So 122 years. This is a really positive thing because of what Eris is bringing, regeneration. Like there is a lot of energy out there that is very hopeful that we just haven't manifested and connected to yet. Pluto, you might have heard, has been in Capricorn since 2008, and it's still in Capricorn here in January of 2024. It did leave Capricorn and went into Aquarius briefly into 2023 and gave us a flavor of what we would be experiencing. It will pop back in to Capricorn in 2024 in September and October. Once again, to clean out any last work that we didn't do, and then it will be in Aquarius for the rest of our lifetimes because Pluto's rotation is so slow. Now, again, Pluto is about death and rebirth. When Pluto comes into the room, it wants it to look different. It wants all the crap to get composted, and whatever you're hanging on to that's not serving you, whether you like it or not, it wants you to get rid of. So that could be an identity, a relationship, etc. All of our systems, because Capricorn is about government and regulation and systems and order and following the rules. And so 2008 is when the financial crisis happened in America, and Pluto has been slowly showing us how all of our systems, there's not a single vector, healthcare, environment, education, there's not an economy, a single vector that hasn't been uprooted by Capricorn, showing us where we're not living as if we're all one. And Pluto wants us to clean it up. So that's why this fall into December and into January has been intense, and that's Capricorn's sort of last, okay, I left you alone in the summer. Now I came back to see what you cleaned up. And if you haven't cleaned it up, I'm going to make you clean it up. So asking us at a very personal level to let go of anything, any story, any belief, anything that is keeping us from this evolution. And it might be things that we really liked or were attached to, etc. So that metacycle is happening. Another metacycle is Neptune went into Pisces and has been in there since 2012. It's a 14-year cycle. And Neptune will be headed into Aries in 2026. So Neptune is about dreaming, visioning, our spirituality, our intuition, our imagination. A lot of Neptune qualities have been repressed in the age of Pisces. But Neptune rules Pisces. It's the planet that rules this zodiac sign. So it's been asking us a lot about our spirituality, our connection with other beings, our intuition. So a lot of people are experiencing their intuition, their clairvoyances. They're getting more hits, more clarity in the sort of what I'd call the woo-woo land, and relating, because a lot of this is also happening with other things in Taurus, where a lot of people are having spiritual or mystical experiences with nature, communicating with trees or animals or that sort of thing. So that's another, all these small cycles is serving this cycle as well to help us evolve vertically into our multidimensional spiritual beings that we haven't really expressed the last 2,000 years. And the last big, there's about 20 of these, but the last big metacycle I'll bring up is Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018 and will be there since 2026. And Uranus is the great planet of awakening. Uranus doesn't do anything linearly. It's about shocking, waking up, shaking, earthquakes, volcanoes, explosions, eruptions, kind of a shake the baby awake kind of thing. Shake you awake, shock you. And we've had plenty of that in the last, since 2018, I'd say. And as it's having this conversation with Taurus, Taurus is about the earth, our values, our relationship with money, our self-worth, our collective, we're all connected self-worth. So you can tie, and there has been an increase in earthquakes and volcano eruptions in this time period for folks that track that. So again, these are all metacycles that these, like when Mercury goes retrograde, or Venus is in retrograde, or Jupiter is in Taurus, as we're going to talk about, they're all in service of these greater, better, bigger metacycles. And they all do affect you personally. Okay. Sorry again about the construction. So every year we experience something as these planets move through these signs and change signs in our lifetime. And then when they do, like this Pluto transit, doesn't happen in everybody's lifetime. And here we are experiencing it. We will also experience changes in our own personal lives through our own archetypal patterns and strategies to get self-esteem and have relationships. And wouldn't it just fit that the fire alarm is going to go off? I'm going to pause the recording and come back.